I'm here with Barbara Stewart. Barbara, thanks so much for joining me.
My pleasure. Thanks, Ashley.
And I know over the last couple of months you've been really busy. You've been hard to get a hold of. You've been in Europe, you've been in Singapore, and you're always traveling for your research.
Right. And keeping my day job at the same time. So it's tough going, but I love it. This is my passion, studying everything to do with women and money.
Okay, and I know you recently released a white paper.
Yes, I did. And I interviewed accomplished women around the world on a variety of topics. And the one that we're going to talk about today is what they learned when they were growing up about money. So if I've interviewed 100 accomplished women, I figure why not share that advice with the masses since they have turned out to be successful. What did their parents or their mentors, whoever, teach them when they were growing up about money? I'm going to share some of that information with you today.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm sure the viewers watching, and I want to know what they know, and maybe that's the key to success, why they're successful now.
You wonder. So.
Okay, so off the top, why don't we start with their lifestyle?
Okay. So when we're kids, a lot of times our parents or friends' parents ask us, what do you want to be when you grow up? That's that old proverbial question, right? So what these women told me was that that wasn't just the question they were asked. They weren't limited to such a thing. Somebody took them aside, either it was a parent or a grandparent or perhaps a friend of a parent, and asked them a series of questions that were linked to lifestyle. Things like, how much money do you think you're going to have to earn when you grow up? Where do you want to live? What kind of job do you think you'd need to earn that amount of money to live in that place? And they were always going through so that it would make sense to the child that they'd have to do this kind of look into the future that would affect them personally, and it really resonated with them in some cases, so that it gave them an idea that, this is really important. I'm linking money with lifestyle. That's why I need to earn money.
Okay, and did that lead into talking about planning?
It did in some cases, but I'm just giving you sort of one-off little lessons here. Okay. And certainly with planning, that would be another complete category that some of them told me about, where their parents would actually sit down and draw a roadmap and a flow chart and literally walk them through step by step about what they needed to do and ask them their input for what are your goals, how are we going to get there. A really laborious process. It sounds almost like a no-brainer that you would do that, but most people don't sit down and have that level of detailed conversation with their kids. So for some of these women that had that happen, guess what? They ended up becoming a CEO of a company, and they still continue to do these planning roadmaps and things like that.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay, we also have written down here, tell them they are smart.
Yeah, this is huge. I think sometimes parents or step-parents forget about this. And some of these women that are really accomplished shared with me that from a very young age, they just knew that they were strong and that they were capable. And then if I pressed them on that, they'd say that their grandfather or someone actually told them they were smart. And he would give them really difficult books to read, big novels, or hand them international newspapers so they could get a feeling for what was going on in the world. And they didn't treat them like they wouldn't know how to do it. They just automatically assumed that they'd be able to read this level of thing. And sometimes they'd ask them for their opinion on their business plans or what was going on in their job, as though they had valuable advice to contribute, even if they were 9 or 10 years old. Mm-hmm. And that is just an easy thing to do to influence your child and to give them this really deep sense of confidence that, hey, I'm pretty smart.
Yeah, I'm smart and I'm important.
Right.
My opinion matters.
Right. Okay. Basic, but
yeah.
Taking the time to do it is the key thing, right?
Okay, and what about talking about having faith in themselves?
Well, yes, that's another thing. So, I'm just trying to think of an example. There were a few women who were one woman was meeting with her friend's mother in the kitchen, just very, very casual one day, and she just sort of instilled in her this, again, through a conversation. It's really through real life stories of talking about how did they grow up and continuing this discussion with the child. And so that, what's really important to you? What makes you feel good about yourself? Who do you admire? And why do you admire that person? and really building on, giving them a feeling that they have a sense of themselves. And when it comes to money as well, why do you want to make money? What does money mean to you? And again, soliciting their valuable opinion along the lines of telling them that they're smart, but it's more asking questions, I think, has a huge amount to do with this.
Okay. I know another aspect is having the kids deal with real money.
Yes, actually, again, getting that feel for money. So one woman in Sweden told me when she was growing up, her father handed her what she thought was the most beautiful bill. They have these big $1,000, 1,000 krona actually, pink bill, and she just loved that from day one. And he felt it was very important that he give her some money so that she would go out and spend it. Now, she probably didn't spend that whole thing, but just to get the feeling for it. And if you don't have money, how do you know how to deal with it? And a great way to do that is when you're traveling with your kids. A lot of them were just handed some money, and they have the day to figure out what they wanted to do with it. And what happens is they make their own mistakes. So they go through a series of exchanges, trying to figure out, well, should I buy presents for my family, or should I buy everything for myself? And by the end of the day, they've learned a lot about money and what they did with it. Did they have any left? What are their values around money? It's a great lesson, and you can do that with your kids when you're on any one of your March break trips or whatever.
And all these women that you interviewed, how important was financial independence to them at a young age?
That was probably the concept that sort of permeated through all of the interviews that I had, whether they were telling me a story of lifestyle or being told they were smart or whatever. In all cases, being independent was the most important thing. So one bank executive in Toronto here told me about how when she was 10, her dad would take her down to the bank, open up a bank account with her, and then every Saturday they'd go and they'd deposit money, and she'd watch her little pink passbook getting updated and watch the dollars grow. And then he would help her make the link between saving money and having something fun to do. So at one point, her friend moved to England when she was 13, and she saved up all her money, and she went on a trip to visit her friend in England. And that feeling of having my own money and being independent, I put it all aside, and this is what happened, that stuck with her whole life. Now she's running a bank. Well, she's close to running a bank.
That's great. All these stories are fantastic, and I'm going to put some links up on the webpage right under this video, and you can link to some of Barbara's research. And again, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.